If you love gumbo, but you don't necessarily like the okra, I want you to try it like this. Vegan gumbo greens, right? This is greens and gumbo combined. So yummy. And I make it in the Instant Pot. So that means it's going to be done super fast. So you use your electric Instant Pot or electric pressure cooker. Make these greens really, really fast. I first start by chiffonading my greens, which is just a ribbon cut. That's what that means. Ribbon cut your greens. I use my food processor here, which is the quick, easy way, but you can do it with your knife the way Grandma used to do it. Make sure you clean them very well with a little baking soda and lots of water. Get all the grit out. And once we get our greens nice and clean, then we're going to start making our roux. Now, I learned this from people in New Orleans. They toast the flour first for the roux. So I toast the flour on the stove, and then you go on and add in your oil. So a cup of flour to a cup of oil, and that makes your roux. And go ahead and keep whisking this until it is smooth. Now, this cuts down, if you do it this method, it cuts down on about 20 minutes of stirring over the stove. So whoever taught me this, suggested this in my comments, thank you, because this is the method that I use. Some people even said you can bake it and put the oil in, but I've been using this method. Mine is a little bit lumpy because I use whole wheat flour, so it's not going to be as smooth as white flour, but I like the fiber in mine, so that's why. But you just whisk it until smooth, and then you have your gumbo. Your roux, which this takes a total of about 15 minutes as opposed to the other way takes about 25 to 40 minutes, depending on how deep you want your roux to look. So this is a game changer right here, super game changer. And see, it's starting to smooth out here, but remember, I'm using whole wheat flour, so it's not going to be as smooth. Now I'm going to go into my pressure cooker here. And I'm using an Instant Pot pressure cooker, but you can use any brand that you want. Whatever pressure cooker you have is fine. Electric, right? I even use the ones on the stove sometimes. So I set this to saute high because I'm going to start building my gumbo inside of my pressure cooker. 4 tablespoons of olive oil. So like really coat the pan. And then I have some very sliced thin vegan sausage, and I'm going to keep sauteing that because I want that to brown and I want that to cook pretty well, make it nice and golden before I start making my gumbo. So I also put in 2 tablespoons of Creole seasoning. We'll use a little more as we go because we're going to season in layers. Okay, so just keep the things in the pan moving. A little garlic powder, 1 tablespoon. Keep it moving. Just stir. Remember, this is high on saute. We don't have it on pressure cooker yet. Then I added in my Holy Trinity plus some garlic. So onions, garlic, peppers, and celery into the pan. And I, again, use this in my food processor, made them very, very fine because I like it fine like this because it means that every forkful is going to get a little flavor of those aromatics, right? I don't chop them very big. I like to chop them fine like this, so everything gets a little bit of flavor. Just keep it moving in the bottom of that Instant Pot on saute high. Want everything to start sauteing, get brown. And you see I'm going over the bottom of the pan because I don't want it to scorch at all. And so the next thing we're going to do is add in that roux, right? Add in the roux that we made nice and dark like this. And then we're going to keep that moving in the pan. Just keep moving it around. Keep this on saute and keep it moving with the roux. And then we're building our gumbo in layers. I'm going to use some gumbo filet and some thyme. Now, normally I don't use gumbo filet when I use the okra. I just let the okra thicken it. But since I'm not using okra in this gumbo recipe, I'm using the gumbo filet, and that's going to act as a thickener. Going to put a little onion powder in as well. We put the garlic powder in. Now we're going to put some onion powder in and a little bit more Creole seasoning here, because I said every time we add something in, we have to add a little bit more flavor. Now, if you have Creole seasoning that doesn't have salt, you can use a lot of it. But if you're using a salted Creole seasoning, be careful. Be very careful about how much you use. Now I'm starting to add my greens in layers, right? Very slow layers. Add them in slowly because you want to allow the greens and the veggies we already put in there to start forming its own liquid a little bit, right? That way you can use less water, and that's going to allow it to be nice and thick gumbo and not too watery. So I am using 2 cups of water here, and I'm using some mushroom seasoning as well, and that is going to give it that nice umami flavor. If you don't have mushroom seasoning, you can use a different kind of bouillon here, just something to give it that extra layer of umami flavor. So keep it all moving in the pan. Right, it's looking like a thick, it's looking like a lot here, but it's going to come out yummy. I promise it's going to come out like yummy, yummy, yummy gumbo. Just keep adding in small bunches of greens and try to allow them to start sauteing so you get as much liquid as you can before you close your lid for your gumbo. Okay, so just keep mixing, turning, keeping it moving. While it's on saute, the thing you want to do is keep it moving. I'm adding in here vegan shrimp, sliced thin, and some seaweeds. I'm using 2 kinds of seaweeds, and I'll put this in the description what I use. Okay, so keep that moving, and you're almost ready to put the lid on your pot now. So once we have it all kind of turned around, we got a little bit of liquid in the bottom, it's time to go ahead, put the lid on, and then we're going to take it off of high saute and turn it to pressure cooker high for 10 to 14 minutes. And that's all it takes to make these gumbo greens. And the next thing you know, you have this beautiful, yummy gumbo greens. I put it with a little brown rice because I like the extra fiber of the brown rice. My husband loved this. He loves my gumbo, but he doesn't always like okra. But this he really loved as an alternative. So I definitely want you to try these gumbo greens. All